Welcome, friends. My name is Jay Johns, founder and CEO of 3R Interactive, and this is Caffeinated Advice. I'm here with my cup of coffee. Wow, I guess I got a little bit of grounds on the outside of my cup there. Sorry about that. I guess you know it's real that I'm drinking coffee, huh? Anyway, so today in Caffeinated Advice, we have a little bit of a different setup in which I think I'm going to start doing a little bit more often. And today I want to highlight this article that was written in Medium. Now, I'm not sponsored by Medium or anything like that, but I think it's a great resource, and I think that everyone should dive into that and start doing some looking around, because there's a lot of great information. People who are writing about their experiences and a variety of topics. And anyway, check it out. This one stood out to me because, well, it's titled, "I wasted $40,000 on a fantastic startup idea." And it says, "When good ideas make for bad business." Now, this is written by someone named Tom Cleveland, and this was in January. And I'm not going to read this whole article to you. I'm just going to sort of highlight it. I'm going to end up linking it in the descriptions. And I would encourage you to go find this article, but there's a few things about it that I find particularly interesting. A is that he does pretty much everything right, quote unquote, right, that someone like myself, someone who advises in the kind of the tech strategy side of things, would recommend you do, right? So let me give you some backstory. So this person, essentially what he was trying to do was create a product that helped you discern between different medications that you would like go purchase. He started with like over-the-counter stuff, like pain medications. He's like, how do people, when they're standing in the aisle of CVS or Walgreens or whatever, how do they make the choice to purchase one of these pain medication things? There's, he lists like 4 different ones in the article. And he said most commonly people are just going to choose whatever's the cheapest. And so he decided to basically create like this metadata sort of thing that would start giving out suggestions based on what's going to be the most effective for what it is that you're trying to treat in moment, right? And so he did basically he found a need. So boom, right off the bat, that's great. Then he created an MVP out of just basically Excel sheets and a few other things. And what's pretty amazing about this is he actually had 4,000 people check or do this trial in his MVP. So yeah, it was 4,400 people. Pretty amazing. I mean, that's a whole lot of people to be user testing an MVP, but the more people you can get testing it, the more data you can have. So that's great. He was super excited at this point because he found what he thought was a solid need in the marketplace. Pardon me. He felt like he could help people, and he had a solution. So he ended up calling this thing Glacier MD, and he quit his job. He wrote a bunch of code. He invested $40,000 of his own money to build this out further in hiring or paying for more trials and hiring some subcontractors to do different things. And basically, as you might guess, things start to kind of fall apart, right? Yes, he did. He was doing a lot of the right things, a lot of the pre-production stuff that is totally recommended. But the component, in my belief, in my opinion, where things kind of went off the rails a little bit, is that he forgot to consistently ask, how much are you willing to pay for this product, when he was having people test it. So I encourage everyone to read this article. It's really, really, really good. And he ended up getting, what's interesting about this is he ended up getting 4 different doctors to be on his advisory board. So here, let me back up. The problem ended up being that he couldn't really figure out where the business model fit in, where he could actually make money. the average sort of person through all these testing turned out that, hey, after he spent all this money in finalizing a version, he couldn't get people to justify spending money on it. Like, it's just like, well, I'll just go grab whatever, right? um, so he's like, well, maybe I will use advertisements. But then he realized that advertisements are really, really hard to sort of make a sustainable business on. And so when it comes to like websites and stuff like that, so what he did was he's like, okay, I have an idea. What if I charge um, doctors for the use of it? Because then he refactored a lot of it and made it to where the doctors could then look at this tool to figure out what is the best medication to recommend for a variety of things. And he started getting more user testing. He tested this out at like 12 different places around the Bay Area. And at some point, he's just started asking, what would you be willing to pay for this? And he kept getting the consistent answer of, I can't really justify spending money on this, even though everyone who's used it said they liked it. It didn't fit. It wasn't fulfilling enough of a pain point, right? So I don't know if that's the right word to say, but people who used it understood its value. They said, yes, I think that this is something that I would use and I like it. But if you're then asking, okay, so if you start to put money on it and say, okay, so if I were to apply this to your medical practice, what, would you pay for it? And all 12 people at that point, or all 12 different medical facilities said, no, we won't pay for this. And it's really, really fascinating because I say this all the time. And if you've watched these conversations in the past, you probably heard it, and you're going to hear it many times in the future, which is there's a big difference between liking something and being willing to pay for something. And that's a huge hurdle that we have to kind of get past when it comes to building and or designing products that are going to be used by the customer, right? A lot of people, in his case, it didn't seem like there was any red flags, right? It was, I created this MVP. It had a bunch of people test it. They liked it. I ended up building it out further. I had like I said, he had 4 doctors on his advisory board. Now, what's fascinating about that is that like now in the future, it's great to have doctors or people that are, my brain is spider webbing. I'm thinking about all these different things. So it's great to have what would be considered credible people who really like your product and is willing to put their name to your product. However, they neglected to do this one major thing, which was really ask themselves, what would I even pay for this in my own, my own medical practice? It seems like that's what happened because he went down really far down the path and basically has this product that he can't monetize. And it's disappointing, but it's a really great learning lesson. And I'm very sad that that's something that he had to go through. But this is something that hopefully other people who are in the process of designing projects, designing services, you can't just go off of, like, do you like this? You have to be asking, is this something that you'd be willing to pay for? And not even just like, you should even get further than that. It should be, will you pre-order this? If you get some people testing your product, do you have a pre-order button? Try that out. See how many people will actually buy, this product or service, like, ahead of time, right? You can even be like, yeah, this is all me testing this stuff out, but pre-order it and you'll be one of the first people to get it when it comes out. And you might even have a little bit of a discounted rate or whatever. That, I think, is really when you're going to tell, is this something that people really want? And okay, so I'm sort of rambling. I feel like I'm recapping the same things, but it's really important. Like I said, um, and it's helpful even for me as someone who creates projects and helps people in the process of designing and creating projects, that you can't skip this step. You can't just go off of the hype and the good feelings of people saying, oh, I like that, or that looks nice, or this is fun to use. because once you add that element of, okay, now you actually need to pay for it, will people be willing to do it? It's definitely food for thought. I hope all of you um, listening to this are going to apply this to your projects, and that you're going to keep asking yourself, your potential clients, what are you, I mean, will you pay for this? And hopefully you're getting legitimate answers, and you can minimize the risk of investing a lot of and a lot of money into projects that don't go anywhere. So I wish all of you the best of luck. I hope everyone succeeds, and I can't wait to have future conversations.